All right, so if you have kids in the car, let me give you the kid warning right now because she's a little bit nervous to have this conversation with her husband because she thinks he might be, quote unquote, in the closet. So the email reads like this, and if you guys want to get in on this, 1-855-BERT Show, and if you have any problems going on in your life and you want Bert Show fam to try to solve them for you, you can always reach out to us at thebertshow.com. Bert Show, I need your opinions on a subject that is kind of difficult to discuss. I'm lost and I have no clue on how to approach this. I'd like to stay anonymous, please. My husband and I have been married for 23 years. I love him dearly. He's a great father and a wonderful man, but I've come to realize that maybe he isn't living to be his true, authentic self. I currently work from home, and he is an essential worker. My old laptop crapped out on me. Oh, no, I know where this is going. And I asked to use his while he was at work. Without hesitation, he said, absolutely. So when I first logged on under his login, everything seemed fine. I browsed around the internet for a while, but had to go back to a previous site. So I opened the history tab, the old history tab. My jaw dropped to the floor. I saw that there were pages upon pages of adult film sites. They were all homosexual sites. I was shocked. Not because there were adult films, but because for 27 years I believed him to be heterosexual. I quickly closed the laptop and sat there and I cried. I felt sad for him. How long did he have to keep this secret? Why is he with me, a woman? Why waste decades of your life with me when you could be yourself and truly happy? I could be overacting as well. Maybe he's bisexual? If so, why didn't he tell me? I'm a firm believer in living your truth and loving yourself for who you are. I want to talk with him, but don't know how to start the conversation. I'm also stuck at a crossroads. Do I let him free himself from this prison he's in and lose someone I love? Or do I just clam up, keep it to myself, and keep my sweet, loving husband? Either way, I feel like I lose. I'm asking, ... how do I start this conversation? I'm so lost. We haven't spoken about it yet, but he knows there is something wrong with me. Please help. All right, 1-855-BERT Show. So her assumption here is that he might be into dudes just because that's what he's looking at online. 1-855-BERT Show.
I feel like there's a tremendous amount of assumptions happening in that email. A tremendous amount. So bottom line, before she walks into any conversation, which I do feel she's entitled to and they need to discuss this, she needs to go in with a clean slate. And, as I'm sitting here listening to this, I watched Women on Women, but I know I'm not gay and I'm not a lesbian.
Well, I will say this, that I don't know that do we have any guys listening right now that are heterosexual? 1-855-BERT Show. But this is the kind of stuff you like to watch online, but you would never pursue it physically. 1-855-BERT Show. I don't know that we'll get a guy to admit that. Davi.
I don't know that we'll get anybody to call up and admit that, but I do have friends that their preference in adult film is not necessarily their preference in life, what they like watching is different than what they like doing, and that's totally fine, and no judgments. And she is assuming a lot, and like Kristen said, you can't go into the conversation with all of those assumptions because he's going to feel super judged, and that's not going to be good. So you want to have a really cool, even slate and be easy breezy about this conversation.
Mo, what you got?
Yeah, I as a man have never heard of that, but that certainly doesn't mean that it's not possible. But like the ladies have said, anything that she goes on from here is going to be assumption based. You have to just sit him down and just have an open and honest conversation with him and get all of the answers from him, because that's the only person you can get them from.
Yeah, and it's not like she did anything wrong. I mean, she stumbled upon this, and if they've been married 23 years, I think, she should be able to open up the door and say, hey, what's going on here? This is what I stumbled on your computer. Can we talk about it? Rather than throw out some, like you said, some assumptions here. Here is Mitchell. Good morning. He thinks that the wife might be overthinking it here a little bit. Hey, Mitchell.
Hey, what's going on?
You tell us. What you got?
like y'all were just talking about, I think she's 100% overthinking it. If they're married for 23 years, you should already have an open line of communication. So basically, if she finds that on his computer, hey, just ask him straight up. Hey, I noticed there's stuff on your computer. Is this what you're into? Or is there something you want to tell me? I don't understand. If you're married for 23 years, something like that, honesty is the best way to go about it.
I appreciate you calling. I could definitely see a guy, some guys being shamed by that, though. Like, I wouldn't want anybody to know that that's kind of what turns me on, even though I would physically never go for it. That's kind of turning me on. I could see a guy not telling his wife that. Kristen.
And I could see a man being embarrassed his wife stumbled across that, too. Like, I can understand those feelings. But again, we're projecting and we're, like, assuming how he's going to react before we've even given him a chance to have the conversation. So, yeah, I feel like as long as she doesn't go in accusatory and it's like more of a fact-finding session, and be like, hey, let's talk about this. What is this?
Lee dated two guys who both watched this kind of stuff, and they weren't gay. Hey, Lee, good morning. You're part of the Bert Show.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Morning.
I did. In fact, my current boyfriend, we like to have pillow talk when we play piano, and we talk about that as well. I don't know what it is. It's just really erotic, but yes, they both would partake in watching it, talking about it, fantasizing about it, and they were both very successful, manly men that would never actually do that. I don't know what it is, but it was real, and they are not guys.
Gotcha. No, I appreciate you calling. Thank you. And I want to take one more call on this. Hey, Bobby, good morning. You are part of the Bert Show. Hi.
Good morning. So I traditionally am a 100% straight male. I'm, 5'11", 300 pounds, just manly man, right? So I watch transsexual porn, transsexual woman, but still nonetheless. And I'm, like I said, my wife, she knows about it. She'll watch it with me. And we watch a lot of other things that we traditionally wouldn't do in our relationship.
Yeah. Because it's fantasy. That's what it is. Like, it's fantasy.
Okay.
We just had two callers. We just had two callers, and I want to clarify something really quick. You can be successful, and you can be manly, and you can be gay. Those things aren't separate. So I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there. There's all
Avi, what you got?
All different shapes and types and sizes.
Yeah. The caller earlier was like, just go up to him, have open communication, and say, is there something you want to tell me? And I'm like, even that question would make me. Ugh. So honestly, I think going the other way, where it's like, be very understanding and almost like, hey, I found this. I don't hate it. Do you want to watch this together? Like a more inviting atmosphere for that person, so they can tell you everything they're feeling. Like, hey, I liked it. Maybe we should watch this together. I think would work well.
I read this update yesterday, and my jaw dropped. It dropped. That's not overhype right there. So yesterday we were talking, we read an email from a Bert Show listener that was very concerned. Been married, I think, 23 years, Davi, and she was having some concerns that her husband wasn't living his true life.
Exactly. Now, I just want to say, if you're planning to use your spouse's laptop today and look at the history, you should just have the Bert Show on speed dial, because there's always going to be some drama in there. So they've been married 27 years, happily married, and she looked in his history and found a lot of adult films. He'd been enjoying himself watching some adult films of the LGBTQ nature, and she started feeling real sad because she thought her husband might be living a lie. He might have other desires and preferences that she, for 27 years, has had no idea, because he was living his life as a heterosexual male. And she wants to reach out and see, like, if this is something he wants or where he's at with it. So that's where we left off. And now you have some dramatic update.
Yeah, her conclusion was that, oh my God, my husband is living this double life. He's in the closet. And if this is the way he wants to live, I can work around it somehow, some way. So we told her yesterday, don't jump to conclusions. This could just be a fantasy. Just talk to him about it. You guys got 20-something years underneath your belt here. You should be able to have this kind of communication. Kristen.
Yeah, if she wanted to win an award for the most assumptions in one email, she did, because she was, she went down a road.
I like her style. She listened to our advice and then immediately took action, went right to the husband. And here's your update, and I literally was shocked yesterday. Hey guys, I want to thank you And all of the Bert Show fam out there for your advice. If you guys are ever having a problem, hit us up at thebertshow.com. You made me realize I was overreacting and that I just need to communicate with him about the situation. I was out of town for a few days because my aunt got really sick, and I was the closest to her as far as distance goes. Once my cousin arrived, I left and went straight home with the confidence that I can handle this the right way based on your advice. So for you guys that called in yesterday, thank you. She took your advice. He was there when I arrived, and I told him we needed to have an open discussion. I assured him before I asked the question that this was a judge-free zone and that he can completely be honest with me. He looked confused and asked, what did he do wrong? Seeing the look on his face changed my confidence immediately because he genuinely looked confused and had no idea what I was getting at. I opened the laptop and showed him what I found. He got extremely quiet. I told him there was no need for awkwardness or embarrassment and that I wasn't here to judge. He stood up, left the room, and went upstairs. And there I was again, sitting there lost in silence. After about 20 minutes of silence, I see him walking back downstairs, but not alone. Our 15-year-old son was with him.
Plot twist.
He then told me to sit down and that it was time for the three of us to have a discussion. My son then informed me that he is bisexual and that he has identified as bisexual for over a year now. He said he didn't know how I'd react, being that I came from a very strict Christian household growing up, and that's why he never told me. He then, in all capital letters, then told me that his dad knew about this for 8 months. But my son begged him to keep it to himself until he, my son, was ready to tell me. It was my son that used the laptop and forgot to close out the history. I was mixed with so many emotions because I was so happy that he has found who he is. But I was upset because my husband knew for 8 months. And on top of that, my son is watching porn, which I guess is inevitable. But still, she writes, him trying to keep this away from me and trust his father more makes me feel like a bad mom. I feel we should be trusted equally, but obviously I am doing something wrong for him to be afraid to tell me something so incredibly important. I guess I need to reevaluate myself and see what I need to do better for my kids to feel safe and secure. Thank you guys again from Anonymous. 1-855-BERT SHOW. Woo! Dobby.
That was his information to bring to her when he was ready, you know? Like, his coming out is all about him, and the worst thing you can do is make it about you by being like, oh my gosh, why wouldn't he, like, why would my husband keep this from me? Why wouldn't my son feel comfortable coming to me? Like, that's going to make them feel bad in the long run, and you just need to accept the information and be as loving as possible, and don't make it about you.
Well, what I do love about her attitude, even though I do think it's misplaced, is that there are so many times where parents don't get introspective on the relationship with the kids, and even though I think it's misplaced here, I think she's doing a really good job by going, you know what? Somehow, some way, I would like my kid to feel free, the same kind of freedom with me that he has with his father, even though his interpretation was that she was going to be freaked out because of her Christian background. I do like the idea that she shouldn't take responsibility for it, but at least she's looking at it, Mo.
Yeah, I do think it's dope that she's looking within herself for some form of accountability, but I don't think she should be hard on herself at all. I mean, they told you what it was, and anyone with a Christian background, you would question it. That's not a bad thing, so I don't think she should beat herself up for that. And the dad couldn't tell her. That would have destroyed the relationship with him and the son if the son didn't learn that his dad couldn't hold that secret. So I don't think he should have told her. So I think she should be happy that they are where they are now, and then you can go from here.
Kristen?
Yeah, that's your child, and that's really important information. information, and I feel like the dad should have told her. Like, I feel like they should have been on the same page with that. I understand him wanting to tell her in his own time, and I respect that wholeheartedly, and I don't think she ever should have approached him and should let him tell her in his own time. But when it comes to your kids, I feel like the parents need to be on the same page, and information like that shouldn't be withheld.
Look, let's not lose sight of the beautiful part of this also, that mom just found out that her son is bisexual, and how many times have we heard a mom freak out or a dad freak out, and in extreme cases cut the child off, not in my house, or they take it personally. And here she is lovingly saying, I'm fine with it. If this is who he is, I'm going to love him regardless. So she'll pass that message on to him, and it will be, it's a safe place for him, which is really, really kind of the beautiful part of the story, right?
And the father, too. I mean, hello, the dad out the gate as soon as he was told, you know what I mean? I think that's beyond fantastic.
Shoot, I had a hairstylist years ago that came out to his very Southern parents, and it went so badly that he ended up committed suicide a year later. So I am really sensitive to this kind of thing. And the fact that he is in this welcoming family that unconditionally loves is really beautiful. And unfortunately, not 100% across the board. Hey, Marcella, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What's up?
I was just wanting to make a comment to the mother whose son come out as bisexual.
Yeah, go for it.
And tell her not to beat herself up. I've raised 3 children, 3 wonderful children who have grown up to be successful. And I have found that children naturally do talk to one parent over the other. It doesn't mean that the other parent is a bad parent or anything like that. Children do often talk to the parent that they think is going to go along with what they're saying. So, thumbs up to her. She sounds like a great mother.
Doesn't she?
The fact that she's worried about being a good mother tells me she's a good mother.
I agree 100%. One last call here. Hey, Jan, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Fantastic. What do you think?
I have a 15-year-old stepdaughter, and I have a 13-year-old daughter that's mine. And the 15-year-old came out to my daughter, and my daughter told me and said, but you can't tell, Fred. And I said, okay, but I told him, and then he just let it sink in, but he waited until she came to him. But he knew about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are tough decisions for parents to make right there. I don't want to just brush that off because you're always thinking about the trust issue with your kids. Those are tough, very difficult decisions to have to make or keep.
This is The Bert Show.